Hello, hello, and welcome to the Royds Review Podcast. I'm Rob.
And I'm Andy.
And we are here today to talk about Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And we've got a very special guest on today's program. We have comedian James Raniolo. James, thanks for being here.
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
So, one of the reasons we are happy to have you is you have told us you are an expert, you love Star Wars, you are the guy to have for our first Star Wars episode.
I am the guy to have, yeah.
I love to hear that because we've had guests before, and our last guest was John von Frankenstein, who is a huge horror guy. So it's good to have a Star Wars expert now because Andy and I are far from Star Wars experts.
Let's be of assistance.
Yeah.
Well, I think Andy, wasn't your first time seeing this, and you've never seen the original trilogy?
Okay, so I saw this when it came out because you remember the hype.
Yeah.
That hype was crazy. And I was like, let me get in on this. And I watched it I didn't see it in theaters. I watched it on the VHS. And I remember thinking, this is really boring. And, but we'll get into that later. Then I saw the end of episode 3, like, you were the chosen one and all that. So I know how that ends. And then I saw A New Hope, which I also thought was boring. And I never saw anything else.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
So I've seen every Star Wars film.
Yeah.
But again, would not call myself an expert. Now, James, so we're doing the prequels, and we're going to eventually we'll make our way through all the Star Wars films. But I want to ask your opinion on the prequels. How do you have positive feelings on the prequels, negative feelings on the prequels?
Overall positive for a bunch of reasons. One, it was also like I was like 15 years old in 1999, and I was a Star Wars fan from when I was like 6. So it was just new content. So it could do no wrong at the very first. It doesn't matter. And I was not jaded and looking at plot holes and looking at all this bullshit. I was just, this is new content. This is amazing. I was just taking it all in, so it didn't really matter. Then when they all came out, I felt like they could have been done better. But then compared to these newer ones, the sun shines out its ass. Like they're amazing, because it's like, say what you want about these prequels, at least there was a plan in place. There are three movies telling one singular story, whereas those sequel movies are just 3 separate movies and they get in each other's way. So all in all, I like them. I have nothing bad to say. They have their issues, yes, but they also have like a lot of good things to tell, to add to the story.
Okay, so you answered my next question, which was going to be, what do you like better, the prequels or the Disney ones? So obviously the prequels.
Prequels, by far, those things never should have been made.
I think I'm getting the sense that's a general consensus amongst Star Wars fans, is that the prequels are much better than the Disney films.
Right, comparatively. But we needed the sequels to appreciate the prequels more. We needed that because, say what you want about these, say what you want, at least they don't do what these sequels are doing. It's a lot of, by comparison, they're much better, by comparison. They had their flaws, absolutely. It was also, if you remember, this was a lawless time for CGI, so everything was just going, and you go from these 3 movies where it's all George Lucas did it all with models and camera shots and everything was on location and like Tanzania and all these fucking wacky places, and then 30 years later, everything's done in a studio, everything's shiny and new technology. It's this is in the past. How's the technology better? So it was that those kind of things took you out of it a bit. But when you put it up against everything, I think they're just fine.
I think that, regardless of what you think about the plot, you have to appreciate all the special effects. Each Star Wars movie is a massive step forward in special effects.
Mm-hmm.
I just said, I didn't find this interesting, but the pod racing scene looks spectacular.
Right, it was something new, and it was also world building. That was something say what you want about Lucas, he was very good about building his world and immersing you in his world. There's no world building in this new one. They're just shoving all these new characters down your throat and just getting a story out, and that's it. There's no, it's just action, it's new characters, and that's it. There's just you don't need, the pod racing is not even necessary to the story. You don't need it, but it's there, and it's something that stands out because it's visually awesome, and it's just it's something that they do in the Star Wars where they watch pod racing. Like it's like any kind of sport or activity. Like when all those people showed up for this event, you know. So it just shows what it's like, just a typical day in the life kind of thing, you know.
Yep.
And so I liked one of the things you said about why the prequels are better is that they had a story to tell. Lucas was going forward with one singular story. So what do you think about, aside from the sequels, but like movies like Rogue One or Solo, or even the shows like The Mandalorian, where it is more world building than it is progressing the mainline story along?
I like most of that extra supplementary stuff. Clone Wars specifically, like I like a lot. The one thing about the Clone Wars that I don't like is like it's like you understand, like all these movies 1 through 6, the protagonist is Vader. It's all about Anakin Skywalker's rise, fall, and redemption. He's the main guy. So if you take it as just Hayden Christensen's acting in episodes 2 and 3, you're like, this guy never stood a chance. Of course he was going to turn into Vader. But you see all this supplementary stuff and how Anakin is portrayed in like 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. You forget it doesn't work out for him in the end. There's moments where you're like, oh, this guy he's going to be a great, oh wait, no, he's going to kill all the kids. It's going to be bad. Like it's going to be, it's not going to work out for him. Like they do so much world building that you watch episode 3 and then it's like, oh really? He just went from this guy to all of a sudden now it's all over for him. I loved Rogue One. I really loved Rogue One.
So did I.
Solo was awful. I tell people it's fun, but it's just the work. Like, it's bad. Like there's so much in it to it that I can just rip apart. But I tell people it's fun. It's a fun movie. Just enjoy it, but look at it like fanfic. Like don't look at it like don't look at it like it's like should be canon or part of the real story. This never really happened. This is just someone telling a story.
I think you're absolutely right when you say it's fun.
It's fun. No, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
If they remove the name Solo and don't make the star a young Han Solo, you're looking at this, that's a very fun side Star Wars movie.
It's just a fun, they didn't need to make it Han Solo. Like there was so many elements there that they could have just made it into another story.
It could have just been a Lando movie.
Yeah, fucking Glover as Lando was amazing. Like that was probably the best part of it. And like, and he even slept through that role and he did an amazing job. He played an amazing Lando. But like, it's also one of those things where like Star Wars was never really particularly on the nose with its like political messages and whatnot. It was kind of built into the fabric of the story and you kind of picked it up where you wanted it to. But like a lot of these new ones are extremely like on the nose. Like they basically had Femme Pewter as a fucking character. Like she was like why is that in my Star Wars movies? Like why do you you can make a debate that droids they're sentient and they have whatever, but like why are you having like this droids rights activist person this whole character like when in essence they're in the Star Wars universe they're tools.
Yeah,
they have a personality, absolutely, but why is this even a thing? Why is this taking up so much of the plot? Like
let's not muddy the waters here.
Right, exactly. It's like you can make statements like that way more subtly. You don't have to have it just out in the open and like is Lando fucking his droid? Like what is why do I even think that's a possibility? Like it's awful.
That's pretty crazy that they cast Danny Glover as Lando. He's like, I'm getting too old for this shit.
I'm getting too old for this shit, Solo. And
I was going to say we have some questions for you as our guest.
We do. Now, normal listeners know we usually use this time to list some movies that came out from this year, but we've done 1999 twice now.
Yeah.
For the most wiki movie there was, Wild Wild West.
That's a gag.
And of course, Toy Story 2.
Oh, yes. That's a thumbs up.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Go listen to those previous episodes. So let's take this time to get to know James Raniolo. You like that rhyme?
That was good.
I see why you're a musician. Very good.
Yeah. That's all the lyrics to my song later on.
Oh, boy.
I'm just going to be singing about James. Hey, do you want to ask the first couple of questions or first question?
Yes. I will go. I'll go first. See, I don't know James at all. And it's nice to meet you, by the way.
Oh
yeah, we should have done some introductions before we hit record.
Nah, it's all right. It's all right. We'll do it live. But so, how long have you been doing stand-up?
5 years. Just finished up 5 years.
Wow. All right, Robbie.
Yeah.
Who are your inspirations as a comedian?
George Carlin for most of my life, and then now that I've been doing it, Doug Stanhope.
Yeah, Doug Stanhope's great. So my next one was, who are your top 3 comedians? So give me one more.
All right. Ooh, this is a tough one. So Carlin, I did Stanhope. I guess I'll put Louis in there. Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite director or favorite directors?
Tarantino.
Okay.
Nice. All right, top 3 musical artists or bands.
In no particular order, Eminem, The Smashing Pumpkins, and let's go with Queen.
All right.
Awesome.
You know, I'm going to be honest. I wasn't expecting Eminem to be in there.
I'm a big rap fan. I'm a very big rap fan, yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
What was the funniest natural disaster?
The funniest natural disaster? Probably Katrina, when everyone was like on their roofs, like drinking beers and shit. Like people go buying canoes, and like it was just, yeah.
All right. What is your middle name?
Anthony.
All right.
If a woman says no, you still get her something from the store, right? Like a candy bar?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, always.
It's a polite thing to do.
Pew. You know what I'm saying? What is your favorite movie from 1999?
Oh.
I have a list here.
Yeah, why don't you just throw some out there?
All right, so obviously.
So no matter what, he was going to list movies from
Yes, yeah,
1999.
no, you'll never stop. You'll never stop me. So obviously, The Phantom Menace is
Right.
on there. Then there's Sleepy Hollow. There's Cruel Intentions. There's Girl Interrupted. The Green Mile. Boondock Saints. The Mummy. Oh shit. The Mummy. Oh shit.
I don't know. You got me. So far, Boondock Saints is going to be a tough one to beat. So,
What about Galaxy Quest?
Boondock Saints.
Okay.
Boondock Saints.
Okay. Fair.
How old would a bear cub have to beat you in a fight?
Whatever age, like, to beat me in a fight, a bear cub.
Yeah.
I don't know how big. I don't know how old they are when they're able to stand up. But once that's it. Like they're, let's say 5.
Okay.
I'd run away from a bear cub. Like he would just win by default. I'm not running any risks.
If you see a bear cub, Mama Bear sees you.
Well, hell yeah, that's why. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
like the raptors from Jurassic Park. So I'm a bear.
Yeah. What is your favorite basic need?
My favorite basic need?
Yeah.
Food.
Yeah.
Eating.
Good. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Like, I don't know what else am I gonna. Food, water, shelter. Like I got 3 choices here. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a shitty question. But
That was good.
you gave a hell of an answer though.
Food. I think food is the strongest answer. For favorite,
I'd say so.
Mhm.
Favorite, yeah.
would you rather be a registered sex offender or in prison for the rest of your life?
Ooh. Oh, that's tough. Like I can't. I'm out. I'm in for life. Like no possibility of.
No possibility of parole.
I guess I'll just be a registered sex offender. They're like, did I do it, or I'm just registered?
I mean, at that point, it doesn't matter. No one's gonna believe you.
That is true. So I'll just. Oof.
You had to go to the bursar.
I think I'd rather be on the outside, so I'll stick with the registered sex offender.
I gotta agree with that one because I feel like you can't walk around, go to your neighbor's house, knock on the door, be like, "Hey, I'm a registered sex offender, but I didn't do it."
The choice was prison for life. I chose the.
You spin the whole yard.
Either way, it's just no. Listen, I was on this podcast.
I didn't know it was legally binding at the time.
The Royds Review podcast. You should check it out. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Music. They're like, all right, sir. I'm starting to think you did it.
So we got to know James Raniolo. It's a shame that not every guest has a name that rhymes with the word no. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. All right, bye everybody. Now, so let's start into the Phantom Menace. We open up with, of course, that iconic opening scroll, and this opening scroll says, "quote The taxation of trades routes to outlying solar systems is in dispute." And right away, I'm going, no.
Yeah, we're off to a real exciting start.
Exactly. Like boring.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? The scroll's cool, but you're talking about trade routes now.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, do we care?
I mean, should I be defending this as
Do what
like
you want.
as
Do
a loyalist?
I don't hate
I-
this movie.
can I
I'm just talking about that opening scroll.
Oh, okay, no, because I can justify it. Like I I don't want to be that dork, justifying all of it, but I get it. Like another element to all this is Palpatine's rise to power. So he has to do all this weird cloak and dagger political shit to make it work. So like the trade routes and the blockade is on his home planet. So he uses that to make himself a victim. Like he makes the trade, he puts the blockade on his own planet. So he, as a senator, can be like, look what these guys are doing, and essentially rising up his own power. That's how he's able to play both sides since the beginning. Like a big element to the prequels that I do like is Palpatine's story and his rise to power, because he's the bad guy behind all this. Also, like he's the puppet master. So, and you wonder, how does he? Because he doesn't really have a dictatorship. He runs just a corrupt empire. Like, so
Right.
How does he do this? Without being just a warlord. So it raises a lot of questions. So it just shows like the strategy behind him. How he's like he's a chess player. So what started with trade routes eventually turns into, I'm going to raise an army, I'm going to play both sides of a war, and now the Republic is an empire, and I'm the emperor.
He is the Phantom Menace.
He is the Phantom Menace. Yeah. Yes.
I know things,
Nice. Now, saying that, do you think this could have been a stronger movie? Now, I know you like it. I actually enjoyed this movie, aside from one character. I think this would have been a very strong film. But do you think this movie would have been better off if they almost switched the A plot and the B plot and almost focused more on Palpatine? And, like, I thought a better movie would have been them capturing Amidala. When they kidnap Queen Amidala, that would have been cool to see.
Yeah, in a way, yes. And I do think, though, although I would say that like they would have to, the B plot, you're assuming we're just talking like we're flopping the Anakin story with
Right.
Anakin.
Like, obviously we have the Anakin story in there, but not he's not the main.
Yeah, but I think the only real parts of it that you would have to really focus on would just be his separation from his mom and the relationship that he has, because like that's a whole big reason of his fall, between losing his mother, losing his wife, losing everything he's ever been attached to. Like those are important. So you would have to focus it, whatever energy, everything you focused on the B plot of Anakin, you would have to really focus on how close he was with his mother. And even though he was a slave, it's okay because I got my mom, and my mom's like, she saw a better opportunity for me, so she let me go, even though she's not around. Like they have to really focus on that. Because again, you wouldn't need the pod race. Like we were talking about, the pod race is great, but you don't need it. You could have spent that time really, like you said, focusing more on Palpatine and more of his cloak and dagger operations and whatnot. But yeah, I think so. Now that you mention it, yeah.
Yeah. So I found that because I'm not familiar with the other movies, that a lot of this movie is straight up gibberish to me. Because I'm not familiar. Like I didn't see the first four or the fourth, 5, 6. So like they're talking about bloop blorps, bleep blops, schnoobly beeps, stobbly beep. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. So a lot of this washes over me. But what you just mentioned, how he's separated from his mother, and so I know, from the get, like everybody knows Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. So like I know that kid's going to become the big bad guy. And when he gets separated from his mom, it's like, oh, okay. Now the pieces are going in place. That is like the one instance in this movie where I was like, oh. Everything else, I was like, what?
If I can add on to that, and as much as I hate to say it, because he's probably one of my absolute favorite characters ever, but him being trained by Kenobi, also the worst thing to happen to him compared to Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn, if Qui-Gon Jinn trained him, he would have had more of like a stern father figure, experienced guy that knew what was going on, as opposed to a guy that was like not necessarily reluctant to do it, but wasn't prepared to do it, and he was more like a brother and a friend. Where if Qui-Gon Jinn would have trained Anakin, this shit never would have happened. Like it would have been totally different. So that was another big piece of it. Qui-Gon dying, and then Kenobi having to train him when he just became a knight himself. They both kind of learning the ropes together.
Right.
So they had a great relationship, but it was nothing that could have saved them in the end. Where
Right.
Qui-Gon, he had issues with the Jedi Council. He had problems with them. He didn't give a shit. So Anakin would be more comfortable being like, "Hey, listen, I know the Council doesn't like it, but I got a wife." So what do I do here? He wouldn't have been afraid to like keep that a secret from everybody and let it all bottle up. And then he's got a fucking, the Palpatine's got to be the one that says he can help, like he can only turn to him. If he had Qui-Gon, it would have been different. So that's an important element to his development too from this movie.
Now, do you think, now obviously that gets explored in the next couple of movies, do you think that's something they could have explored further? Because from my remembrance of the next two movies, that's never something they addressed, that Obi-Wan wasn't prepared to take this on, because we skip ahead in the next movie 19 years.
Yeah, no, because you got also, it's like, you can't expect anybody to, like when they make these movies, they assume that you just saw the movies and that is it. They don't assume that you've read any books or comics or saw any TV shows. You just got to go by what you've seen previously. So what the average fan just knows is, oh, that's the old man from the original one. Let's see him as a young Jedi. Let's see him as as the general of the Clone Wars. So they're telling his story also, and they don't really get to explore that element of him and Anakin. Whereas, like, in the Clone Wars, there is some of that. They do kind of do a few episode arcs where they go into that. So they wouldn't have. I don't think anyone would have. They would have just been filler. Like, it wouldn't have mattered. No one would have cared. I don't think they would have, because as much as it's telling this Anakin story, it's also like, check out young Obi-Wan. Isn't he awesome? Isn't Ewan McGregor crushing it? So they do it. They present him more that way because he's got his own story to tell also. And unfortunately, I think just that element of it is not enough to include.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have some critiques that are specific to certain scenes. So, and you guys, I know you guys like this movie. You could tell me to shut the fuck up at
All right,
any
cool.
point in
Shut
time.
the fuck
All right.
up.
I didn't really get to say the thing, so I'm gonna say the thing.
Okay, that's cool.
So when they go to Jar Jar's
Gungan
underwater
City?
place, yeah. Their ship gets bit by a giant fish, and then another bigger fish eats that fish. And Qui-Gon says, "There's always a bigger fish." It's like, okay, cool. And then they do that again. Why did they do it again? Like, again, another big fish latches on, and then a bigger fish than that one eats that fish. They did the same thing twice. Why'd you do that? I guess
to really drive the point home.
That there's always a bigger fish.
There's truly, no matter if you take anything out of this movie, there's always a bigger fish.
There's always a bigger fish. Yeah.
I mean, because you're absolutely right. That's George Lucas, though. Like,
that's Lucas going, get it?
You know what it was? It was the concept artists. They were like, look at all these fish, and George Lucas was like, I like those four. Let's do the bit twice. Let's do it twice.
Love it.
I thought Gungan City looked really fucking cool.
It did, and the fish looked really cool too. It, like, all the special effects, I think they hold up pretty well.
Yeah, again, the world building. It's just so much of like, and how you have like these two completely different species living on one planet with their own separate governments and their own separate whatever, and they just kind of coexist and hang. You got Naboo on the surface, the Gungans live fucking underwater, and they just chill on the planet together. They're just cool for the most part, like it's it is a very interesting kind of concept.
There was something mighty uncomfortable about Jar Jar Binks saying "Misa, your loyal servant." I don't know. I just don't like the term "Misa, your loyal servant."
I agree.
All that's another thing that the prequels introduced. Like all like the new like characters, like they're a little like on the nose, stereotypically like race. You know what I'm saying? So like Gungans are straight up like Gungans are like these straight up like island folk. You know, like so they talk. You know, like they just talk like that. And like the Trade Federation, they're like these Japanese imperial guys.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we would never do anything like that. Like it's on the nose. Watto,
Yes, it is.
fucking Watto is like it's like a dirty Greek fucking like auto part guy. He's just like, hey, what are you doing here? Like,
yeah, that's the thing. I was watching this guy. So I'm glad you said Greek because I looked at him and wrote anti-Semitic spacefly. You know,
no, he's just like a greasy like auto body guy, a guy that when you show up because like someone knocked off your side view mirror. And you gotta fucking you see the part.
Jedi mind tricks don't work on me. Oh my god!
He's got like a wife beater and a big medallion with his chest hair stuck in it.
His
like,
nose is huge.
I know. Yeah. Watto's like, hey, what are you doing here? He gambles like he's a mess. Like he's fucking. that was nothing. Like there was so many of those. Like even the Hutts. The Hutts are like the Italians. There was a storyline in the Clone Wars where like there was an issue with the Hutts and Jabba had to call a meeting with the heads of the 5 Hutt families. And it was just 5 Hutts, and one of them straight up had a little Vito Corleone mustache. Like he looked just like he was Vito Corleone. And he spoke like this, but in Huttese. So imagine Jabba's Oopa Poopa voice, but like this instead. It was so offensive. Like but who gives a shit? Like it's funny as fuck.
I mean, I feel like a lot of this movie, like a lot of it is like, look at all these wacky characters. Wow, look at all these like at the pod race. They go, start your engines, and then it literally shows every single racer starting their engine one at a time. I was like this is like 15 minutes of people starting their engines.
That is like the Disney Plus extended final version. Like that's not like an original cut of that. Like there was I even noticed that 'cause I rewatched this the other day to prepare for this, and I was like, this was not. Who are these people? Like even I was just like, I don't know who Pod Racer number 7 was. So, you know, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It was like they introduced like 3 people in the original cut, I think, and then that's it. Like that was all new to me.
Okay.
Like they just threw all the extended shit in there for no reason.
Yeah, I did think that this movie was padded out with a lot of extra. Wow, look at this wacky character. He's got 2 heads. This guy's got 4 arms.
Actually, one of the voice of one of the 2 heads is Greg Proops. Is one of
my notes is we get a Greg Proops sighting during the pod racing.
Yeah, that was one of my trivia, not really questions, but trivia things. Like that right here, I can cross it out. But yeah, Greg Proops was one of the announcers.
I like Greg Proops.
I like it too.
That's the guy who's I always wondered like how come you never heard more from him on TV and stuff. You never hear any more. I don't know anything else he's been in like a big movie like this, even doing voice work. Yeah, I think he was in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, a lot of like I don't know. It was just maybe he just always just kind of like a working comic doing his improv and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, the only other time outside of like that and like Whose Line or some random movie that I would see him in would be they did a show The Green Room with Paul Provenza. It was like the closest thing that do you have a Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn?
Yeah,
remember that show. All right, so there were a lot of duplicates of that, a lot of imitations. And the closest one was this one, The Green Room with Paul Provenza, and it was just wherever the hell they were, but there were mad comics and people in the crowd, and like Greg Proops would just like hang out in the crowd, and like somebody said something and something went awful, and you just heard, "Hey Paul, it's going great," and you just pan the camera, and it's just Greg Proops just chilling out in the back, like you always see him in like the background of whenever there's like a when someone's doing a special, and they always do like that minute intro where they're like hanging out at the club and they're chatting with the comics, and he's always among those kind of guys. So I think he's just a working comic.
That makes sense. Real quick, thank you so much for listening. If you want to send us some feedback, send us an email at roydsreview@gmail.com. That's ROYDSREVUE@gmail.com.
You could also find our music on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your music, by searching The Royds. That's ROYDS. We have 2 albums and a Christmas song. Hope you like it. Anakin goes to, Qui-Gon goes to Anakin's town, right, to get somebody to fix the ship. And then like he has dinner with Anakin and his family. And Anakin's like, "You're a Jedi, huh?" He's like, maybe." And then he's like, "Are you here to free the slaves?" And he's just like, "Nah."
Nah.
Whoa,
Sucks,
whoa,
idiot.
whoa, whoa, whoa! That sounds like a states' rights thing. I'm not gonna get involved. Whoa.
Like, whoa. It's his dinner table, Annie. Like, no politics at the table. Like,
I'm just trying to fix my ship. Yeah. I thought that was funny because I feel like if he really wanted to, like him and Obi-Wan could just clean all that shit up. They're like, "Yeah, you're all free.
Yeah,
We
but
got
they're like,
superpowers."
yeah, but they're like on behalf of the Jedi Council, which is an extension of the Republic, and they're in like
Yeah.
gangster. It's like being in cartel space. Like they're like the
Right.
Hutts control that. Like that's not like a, they're their own entity. Like they would have caused way more problems if they just went in there like, free the slaves. Like it's just
Right. Yeah. But it's weird because like, I've seen the videos where George Lucas is like, this is all for 12-year-olds. And it's like, okay,
Mhm.
that's fine. Everybody can enjoy it though, right? But like then you throw something like that in there and then it's like, but aren't these our heroes? Maybe they should be freeing the slaves, right? Because there are heroes in this tale for 12-year-olds. What kind of message you said it in?
In hindsight, when you think about it, like he had Republic money, but Watto wouldn't take it, so he had to do this whole like I'm gonna get it in like property that I'll trade you for the like he couldn't just pay for Anakin. But I don't know why after he freed Anakin, he would be like, "Listen, I'll be back shortly with the money to free his mother." Like because he's like, he could just go to the Jedi Council and be like, "Listen, I need a fucking ship. I gotta trade it for this kid's mom. Like, just give me anything. Like these desert people, they'll take anything.
Right.
Like he could have traded. He could have showed up with like 2 X-wings to Watto and be like, I need the mom now.
Yeah.
Like he didn't need. Like he didn't.
You know what I think it was? I think Liam Neeson was just refusing to free any slaves in a movie. I think he was still going through a time where he wanted to beat up any beat blop he saw.
Yeah, that was probably like that was probably an original script. And then Liam Neeson's like, whoa, get this free slave part out.
Hold up.
Whoa.
Yes, can we work in a line where I just get to beat up all of the Gungans?
I came here to be a Jedi, not fucking free slaves, dude. What is this?
My Qui-Gon Lincoln? What's going on?
After the pod race, Anakin goes, I don't want things to change. Like, dude, you're a slave. Just go.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
What are you saying? You don't want things? I know you love your mom, but come on.
I feel like the promise, like Qui-Gon could have been like, all right, how about this? I'm going to train you to be a Jedi, and then we can all come back here, and we'll free everybody.
But that's also kind of on Anakin, because like episode 2 takes place 10 years later, and like he never goes back to even see his mom at all. Like at all. Like I know he's not allowed to, but like he just never did. So that's also kind of on him for not being like, listen, I'm gonna just learn how to choke some people and we're gonna get out of here. Like I'm just gonna
when Qui-Gon brings him to the council, they're like, all of them are like, all right, yeah, he's got the Force or whatever, but he's a little muddled in there. He's got a little bit of both in there. So what are we doing over here? So I think the whole thing is like, this kid is potentially, and I mean, I guess he turns out to be like the worst thing that could ever happen to the Force, right?
Yeah, pretty much. He's up there.
Okay.
I know things. It's all him. It's all him. Like it's all about him.
Yeah.
All roads point back to Vader and the Chosen One.
So Anakin says yippee.
Yep. He's a 9-year-old kid, bro. Like,
but he said yippee. Like,
I'm pretty sure that was ADR. I'm pretty sure that was ADR too. Like, I'm pretty sure that was not even like saying
like it. Maybe like a yippee is just so forced. So like maybe like a hooray. Like, all right, that works better. Yippee.
Yes.
Yeah, or hell yeah, brother. Yeah, let's fucking go. Yeah,
and finally,
yeah.
He gets out of the pod racer and drinks 2 things of milk.
Yeah.
Blue milk. Yeah.
I do like they reveal that Qui-Gon's not in the council because he fucks up too often.
I mean, he's a bad boy. He doesn't play by the rules.
Yeah, he doesn't believe in their approach. Like he doesn't believe in all of their whatevers. You know, like they feel they've grown too political and they're too tools of the government rather being than their own entity. You know, and they feel that hinders a lot of stuff. Like there's a huge like
Mace Kavanaugh.
Stop.
Well, I mean, I have to agree because, like, in this movie, they're kind of just like lackeys. Like
they're kind of like they're like kind of like secret police kind of things. Like they're like these order of peacekeepers and diplomats, and then all of a sudden the Clone Wars breaks out, and now they're generals in the army. You know, like all of a sudden they're just there's before the Clone Wars the Republic had their own generals and admirals and all their whole military, and then the Jedi just show up like, all right, we're in charge now. We got war because we're Jedi. You know, like it's a lot of it where they're like, I didn't sign up for this. I mean, I'll do what I can to protect the people, but I don't have to follow orders. Like, you know, it's like that defeats the purpose. You know, so that was a big piece of it. But yeah, but he was also kind of a dick though, so I'll give you that.
But like the whole promise of like Star Wars is like, okay, it's going to be like an epic tale in space. And then a lot of it is just like politics, like in this world, like this world that George Lucas created, but it's the politics within that world. And it's like, I don't even give a shit about the politics in my world. Like that shit's boring. I'm sorry, guys.
If anything, I can speak more intelligently about the politics of the Star Wars universe than the actual. Like, I swear to God, you'll lose me in minutes if we start talking about current politics. But I can go on for days about random Star Wars political climates and shit like that. I guess to me that's more interesting. I don't know. It's just maybe because it's not real and it's got no effect on me whatsoever.
I mean, I'm not faulting anyone. I mean, like, I imagine that as we watch these movies, they're going to get better at some point because like billions of people can't be wrong.
Right.
Like I'm not, and I don't think I'm like a hard to please moviegoer. Like I'll have a good time.
Yeah, he liked Shrek 3 and 4.
I like Shrek 3 and 4. I don't like 3. 3 is just there. 4 is excellent.
3 is just there. Love it.
I love 4. But listen, the overall, I understand the story. Like it's this kid becomes, you know, a tool of evil, and you know, this world goes to shit. But like, and that's all. Like the whole dark side versus good. It's compelling. It's like on paper, it's cool, but when I watch it, I'm like, I'm bored. I'm bored. There's too many bleep blorps, too many gooby schnoogly bops. They're like, we took some of your blood. You got chlamydias.
Midichlorians. Yeah, that's an element of it that I don't like because it kind of suddenly makes the Force science now. It makes it like a provable empirical thing. It's like, oh, it's in your blood. It's supposed to be just like this.
I thought it was just space magic.
That's what it's supposed to be. This power, and you got it, you don't got it, how strong you have it. It shouldn't matter what your blood's like, you know, like, and that led to a whole like again like subplot that's been going on, and all the stuff is you know, cloning and Palpatine trying to make clones of himself, and even in the new movies, that you know the whole reason why they found Baby Yoda, Grogu, was because they were trying to get his blood because he was a Yoda species, and they wanted to make Force, you know what I'm saying? Because it was a scientific kind of thing. Like they made it science and shit like that, where it should just be like you should have questions. You shouldn't try to solve that, you know. It should just be, it's the Force. It's a mystery. That's the whole point.
I mean, that becomes the problem when you keep world building and building out, is eventually it's like, oh, you know what? Here's a plot line we can just go with.
Right.
Yeah, it ends up being something we have to explain every single happening,
just for story purposes.
Yeah, and that's just like things overstaying their welcome. That's just what happens.
Yeah,
nothing's ever good forever.
It shouldn't, like I said, it shouldn't be like a genetic component to if you're Force sensitive. You know, it's how the Force wills it. You know, like that's the whole point of the Force. You know, it's this living energy. It's not like a fucking. Yeah, it's not a gene, you know. It's not like.
I mean, So when Qui-Gon tells the council about Anakin, he's in the middle of that room with Yoda and Mace Windu. There's a big long neck guy in the background who is so fucking distracting.
Yes.
He's just like, look at me, I got a big old neck over here. And it's like, I don't even know.
Keep it up. He's like, whoa, whoa,
he's
whoa.
swaying. He's swaying the whole time. And I'm like, I'm barely holding on as it is. And now you got this big long neck weirdo in the back. He's taking my attention. He's my favorite character.
Would you like to know his name?
Yes.
Yariel Poof.
Yes! Yariel Poof sounds like a 70s alt rock band.
That's what his name is. I swear to you. Yariel Poof.
So with the name Poof, it makes me think just the way the Star Wars universe works, it makes me think that his voice would be like, hey guys, what's up?
Oh my God.
Simple. He's got a list.
Yeah, he's the Pete Buttigieg of the Star Wars universe.
But like, that's just because Star Wars just wears their races on their sleeves. I mean, we've seen it. Speaking of racist characters, the Jar Jar, like the concept of a bumbling idiot winning a war by accident is funny. But when I watch him do it, I hate it. You know?
I do. Yeah, I know. He was supposed to be, because like when they revisited this 30 years ago, it was like they had a whole new market. So like they were of course going to get everybody that grew up on the original movies, but now they're like, we got a whole new generation and those guys' children and things like that. So we got to make the draw. So like I felt Binks was always kind of like, Binks was for the kids, Darth Maul was for the teenagers, and everybody else was for like the people that were going to watch it anyway. You know, so I felt Binks was kind of like that kind of character. He was trying to be like just the comic relief, but like that, I think Lucas had more plans for Jar Jar Binks, but like because he was so awfully received in Episode 1, he took more and more of a background role in 2 and 3. He was there, but he was there quickly and he was gone.
Is he in those?
Yeah, in the background. There's a whole theory that Jar Jar Binks is the real Sith Lord. Like, and you can make it work. Like, you could really, just on your own time, find a video on like the Darth Binks theory, and like you can make it make sense. Like, all of it. Like, it's insane. And I think George Lucas maybe was trying to go that direction with it. Maybe not to that extreme, but had more planned for Jar Jar Binks. Like, he was supposed to be like a more than meets the eye. Like, you might think he's a bumbling idiot, but in fact, whatever. But he was so poorly received that I think they shelved him.
Well, they wrote him so over the top to be a bumbling idiot.
Yeah. Because he was clumsy. Also, it was like, they did
like
right.
Nothing worked.
Yeah, no, he was, but he did dummy himself to victory. Like, he was just
he tripped over the boomers.
But like again, in any other like scenario where there's a bumbling idiot and they win a war by accident and they're like, oh, he's a hero. It's like, and they're like, huh? I just tripped. Like, okay, that's fun. But here, I'm like, this fucking sucks. I hate it.
Because he's also annoying.
Yes.
He was also like annoying. He wasn't like you felt bad for him. You're like, good, I hope you felt. Like, he was
can
annoying.
We kill him? Like, can he die in the war? Like,
well, that's the thing. The good guys win the whole thing because Anakin like destroys the Federation ship by accident.
Yeah.
And then
which is okay because like Anakin,
that scene is on right now, by the way. They're raiding the Federation ship right now. Just want to let you know, this timing has been amazing.
He's watching live. Incredible.
And then Jar Jar fucking accidentally releases those blue bombs, and it's like, come on, can't I have a little bit of wins that don't seem fluky?
Yeah,
right. But they have this, like I said, there's this whole theory that he's like really like a Sith, like he's the Sith guy because he also is from the same planet that Palpatine's from. If you notice, he's got those Sith eyes the entire time. Like, he's got yellow Sith burning eyes the whole time, and no one says anything. He's amazingly athletic. Like, he can jump in the air and spin and flip and do all this crazy shit. And like, he's just there during like all these pivotal moments. Like, he's the one that suggests that Palpatine gets emergency powers. He's the one that suggests, that that Anakin tells Anakin that Queen Amidala's hot. Like
which was
there's
so weird.
Yeah.
There's so much that you could make it fit the narrative that he's really behind it the whole time. Darth
Honestly, I feel like if they did, people would like Jar Jar more.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If they just followed through, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure like how his story ends is he goes back eventually to the Gungan city, and he's basically just like an outcast. He's like the village idiot because it's his fault, because he was the one that suggested Palpatine gets emergency powers, and he's blamed for the entire war. So he's just kind of like a just a sad clown for the rest of his life, which is sad.
Yeah, good. He sucks.
Good. Good. Too bad he's not dead.
Well, so I have two positive notes and then one very large negative note. The positive is the music is exceptional, but it's John Williams. I mean,
right.
Excellent.
Yeah,
excellent stuff.
The music throughout the entire film and throughout the entire franchise is just A+.
Yeah, and also I loved how at the end when Obi-Wan's talking to Yoda and he's like, "Yeah, he like Qui-Gon's dying wish, like he wants me to train Anakin," and Yoda's like, "Yeah, he's got some of the dark side of him," and they got the very subtle. It went womp 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 womp. I was like, "Oh shit, that's
what
nice."
He says, "Grave danger, I fear in his training," as the Imperial March plays. Yep. You know what's funny? I actually have a piece of trivia that I was going to bring up later, but since it came up because you guys are musicians, I think you'd appreciate this a lot. So, like, John Williams had so many of the stuff that he did was like, Luke's theme, Leia's theme. Everybody had like a theme, Yoda's theme. So Palpatine had his own theme also. All right, and I don't know musical like terminology or whatnot, but apparently Palpatine's theme is in minor, whatever it's lower, and then at the end of this movie when they have that big celebration in the street and they have that big parade, there's like a high-pitched choir of like kids saying like this la 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 la. That's Palpatine's theme, but in major.
In a major
like
key,
it's the same exact, and it shows how like this is all about Palpatine's rise. Like they're celebrating, there's a parade right now for peace, but it's Palpatine's theme playing.
Right.
Like, so, and John Williams kind of like weave that into the music. It was the same theme, but just in a different, I guess I don't know musical theme, terminology. Right.
So like the minor would make it sound more sinister.
Yep.
And like evil, and then the major makes it sound happy and fun.
Right. So the same song that played when Palpatine was like, let's say, coming off the transport, Return of the Jedi, when you first really see him, is the same music that's playing during this like happy parade. It's just in a different, like you said. So I added that because I know you guys are musicians, and I thought you'd appreciate that.
That plays into what you guys were saying before. Is like, would this movie be better if it was more focused on the actual Phantom Menace rather than like Qui-Gon finding this kid and being like, "Hey, you got a lot of Force stuff in your butt," or whatever it is. Like, let's do this.
Force stuff in your butt.
Yeah. So, okay. My other note is the fight at the end is very cool.
Yes.
Good stuff.
The fight's cool. Yeah, but I always forget that Qui-Gon Jinn gets defeated by a little jab in the nose.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he kind of takes one to the chin, and then that's it.
Yeah, and he goes cross-eyed. He goes, "Whoa!" And then he gets stabbed.
I was like, "Come on!"
But then he's laying. He's laying there for like 15 minutes, just dying. And then at the end, Obi-Wan does his flipperoonie, kills, cuts your boy in half, then goes over to Qui-Gon, and he's like, raise the boy. Duh. He held on that long. Like, but also when Obi-Wan does the flip, like Darth Maul has the high ground.
Exactly. He's a hypocrite because it didn't happen yet, but like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was the exact same thing. He's like, Anakin, I have the high ground. Trust me, this guy fucked up once. I should be dead.
Yeah. Essentially, like, and because Darth Maul just watches him do it. He's like, huh.
And then gets sliced in half.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Like Maul is like a major character in like these extra things. Like he's explored tremendously, and he's a great character. And it gets to the point where now you look back at him at the Phantom Menace, and he's amazing. He's the same Maul up until that point, but the Maul that I know from like Clone Wars and Rebels and whatnot, he would have just pushed Obi-Wan off the cliff. Like why he would have just like gone, you're down. Like he wouldn't have fucking taunted him.
Well, that's after he got hurt, right? That's after he was sliced, right?
No. So Anakin, they both fight around the pit.
Yeah.
And then he pushes. No, wait. I'm sorry. That's right. No. He kills Qui-Gon first. And then Obi-Wan comes in and they fight, and then he just kind of pushes him off into that pit, but he's hanging on.
Right. But I'm talking about the Clone Wars and Rebels. That's after this movie.
Yes.
So like that's after. So like that's when Darth Maul comes up as like the spider thing, right?
That's how he's reintroduced. Yeah, and then he gets metal legs.
Okay.
Oh, they give him like spider legs?
Yeah, they do a Wild
West.
Like
this weird like scorpion body. Yeah, he's a little weird. He's insane.
Well,
he comes in and goes, I say.
The South will rise again. But I read that when I was looking for trivia. I read that Darth Maul actually had like a lot of lines and like a whole monologue about fear and stuff, and it was all cut. And like he says like 4 things in this movie.
Yeah, he's very short. I think he was just meant to be just like this ominous badass. Look at this guy with his horns and his double-sided lightsaber. He's fighting 2 Jedis at once. Oh my god, this guy's insane. They probably figured less is more with someone like him.
Yeah,
he was sick.
I mean, his design is awesome. He still looks very cool.
But as they developed him very well in Clone Wars and Rebels to like, and they went like a slightly different way with him, but like at the same time, it's like he was a very well developed character later on after they brought him back.
So my final note, which is largely very negative, is, and this happens with a lot of movies around this time, like The Mummy Returns had a similar problem at the end. There's so much going on, and it keeps like going between all of them.
Right.
And there's so much going on, and I don't care about a fucking lick of it. What's going on? What are you doing? What's happening here?
I think maybe I'd agree with you if like we went into this believing it was just a singular, maybe The Mummy Returns different, but at least this one, like there's going to be another one. Like it that the story doesn't end here, so you may as well end it with a whole bunch of shit going on and like what, and then it ends and you're like, what? There was so much. Like there was what happens and all this shit, and I think it's more to leave people, in suspense to wonder like what's gonna happen next. Like you got all this crazy shit and then it's over. Yeah,
and here's my argument against this movie. And like again, I didn't think it was like terrible. I don't think I'd watch it again though. Just maybe if once I get through all of the Star Wars and I get a better understanding of the world and how the story's told, I can come back to this with brighter eyes. But like this movie to me does not stand up on its own. It stands up on the back of the franchise of Star Wars. If this was not called Star Wars: The Phantom Menace and you watch this, would you be like, this is a good movie? Or would you be like, what the hell was that?
I mean, I think it would definitely raise a lot of questions, but I think that's just slightly unfair only because you're going into this like...
Right. And
you're going into this with a rough idea of like, at least a framework. But I guess if I was just dropped into it, like, if I didn't have more of an explanation later on, I would be like, if it was a movie that's by itself, I suppose, but it doesn't. Like I said, I don't think that makes a lot of sense because it's designed to be supplementary to something else. Like it's the whole, that's its whole inspiration. But I mean,
But I think that's my problem with this movie and with a lot of the Marvel stuff that's been coming out like lately. Like it's all part of this long running franchise. And like I've seen all the Marvel stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I like this. But like if I hadn't and I watched it, I'd be like, what?
Right.
So like, is it good? Like, is this one? Can this thing stand on its own?
I don't. I mean, if it can stand on,
Or am I thinking about it too hard?
I just like I said, I think it's just like there's so much about it that makes it confusing is a part of it's is because of what it's attached to. You know,
Right.
so it's like they expect people to go in. You're expected to go in with a basic rudimentary knowledge of something. You know, so
Right.
there's a
So
lot. So
should I-
because of that, there's a lot of, you know, like is there shitty dialogue? Yes. Is it like overdosing on special effects? There's a lot of shit going on at once. Absolutely, but you go into it sort of with those expectations. So
right. And
I
I
think
feel
for
like
what it is, it's fine. Yeah.
maybe this wasn't the best starting point for me.
The
Maybe
first your first experience with Star Wars, absolutely not.
yeah.
If
Because
someone told me today that they've never seen Star Wars, I would tell them to watch everything in the order that it was released.
right.
Watch it how the rest of the world watched it.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do that because we got this podcast.
Yeah, that'd be no fun. We'd have no show.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not like I didn't not enjoy it. Like I was just bored a lot of the time.
Right.
But when it was like its highs were pretty cool. Like the fight was cool. I thought they did a pretty cool, like in the beginning they do that force dash where they both like turn into a blur.
Yep.
And then they never do that again. And I was like, yeah, I feel like Qui-Gon, you could have done that when he was about to stab you.
Yeah, you know what? It does also
right.
raise a few questions like those those droids that had like the shield generators. Like you obviously have portable shield generator technology. Like, why wasn't that thing over the hole in the Death Star? Like, why didn't you just where like it just raises questions like where would like why did you I understand why you maybe like decommission like droids because they're annoying, but those roly ball death droids could solve every problem you've ever had ever. Why did you get rid of them? Like, where are they now? Like, it does raise different kind of questions.
They had a hard time with them. They had a hard time with them.
Yeah, they were.
So there aren't droids going forward.
No, there are droids, but you don't see those.
There are
kind of droids,
but like they decommissioned the creating of those droids after the Clone Wars. And they just go and they stop building clones and they just go to conscription soldiers for the stormtroopers. They just stop.
So, I mean, you know, I'll save. I have a lot of questions, and we have a whole segment for those. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Hey, can we spend a minute to talk about who I thought was the best character in the movie?
Yes.
Go on.
Queen Amidala.
All right.
Okay.
So I think it's first of all, it's fucking awesome. Her using the handmaiden as a substitute. I think that's so cool the whole time, and I think that reveal is awesome when she's like, "I'm the queen." That's
Keira Knightley plays her, double. Yeah.
I thought that whole thing was fucking awesome. I just thought how it shows this young, she's 14 or some shit like that.
She's 14, yeah.
Like, and she's this smart, and it shows that she's one of the smartest people in the Star Wars universe right off the bat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's there. I do like at one point, they're in a fight with droids, and she yells, "We don't have time for this, Captain." It's like, well, they're shooting at you.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just, this isn't a video game.
She's still a little bratty. She's still a little like,
yeah. Like she plays a 14-year-old really well because she was 19 at the time or some shit.
Yeah.
But I just feel like Amidala, the fact that she tricks the Viceroy, and that's how she defeats the Viceroy.
Right.
I don't know. Amidala is one of those characters I don't think gets enough praise.
Yeah,
as a character.
I agree.
She's
because I didn't remember it at all on when I started watching. I was like, oh yeah, Natalie Portman's in this, and then the big reveal. I was like, oh yeah, she is the queen. Cool, that's cool.
Well, like she's also strong because she goes, "I'm going back to Naboo." Like you're gonna die, and she's like, "Okay." Like,
okay, I'll die with my people.
Yeah, and like that's fucking awesome.
Right.
Like that as a character trait to show that not only is she a young queen, but she's not fucking afraid of dying because she's a queen who's going to die with her people.
So you're saying she's a queen, but she's also a queen.
Yes, I'm saying Yas Queen is exactly what I'm saying.
Right. Okay. How do you guys feel about the acting in this movie?
Eh.
I said this to you recently, Andy. I thought Liam Neeson's giving his all here.
And I told you he was not. I assure you he is not giving you his all in this movie. In fact, I would say he seems bored. He's just like, yeah, I'm a real stoic guy, and that's my whole thing. And it's like, okay, you got any personality in there? He's like, nope. Okay, all right. He's just saying his lines. Very cool.
My partner says I only like this movie because of the strong Irish cast. And I'm like, that is very true, actually.
Yeah, now that you mentioned it, yeah.
I mean, I think Samuel L. Jackson crushed it. So I mean, that's
yes,
just
that
yeah,
goes
famous
without saying.
Irishman, Samuel L. Jackson.
Famous Irishman.
Samuel Jackson, Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, Sammy O. Jackson. Very good.
Do you think at any point they had to like stop him, like, listen, you can't yell. You're not yelling in this movie. You're not cursing in this movie.
You know, I'm sure they were like they were probably like hilarious cuts. You know, where you just you know.
Yeah.
I heard. I'm pretty sure this is true. So the prop lightsaber hilt is like his own property, like he owns it. And I think like on the bottom there's a plate that says "bad motherfucker" on it.
That's awesome.
I'm almost positive that's true, because they showed him like a case of like 20 different hilts and was like, pick Mace Windu's lightsaber, and he just picked the one that he uses. And like I think that, like I said, there's like a plate on it or something. Like he mentions it in some interview somewhere. Like he actually owns it.
Like that's a character I'd love to see more of.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I feel he dies, right?
Yeah, he dies in.
Give me the Mace Windu prequel.
Yeah,
he's one of these guys where it was just like they bring back Maul, they bring back a bunch of people. It's like they've yet to like bring back him, in some way. And there's all this speculation, like whenever like a new series comes out or a new whatever, all the like the fan theories come out, like, oh, this is where we're gonna see Mace was alive the whole time and yada yada yada. But like so much of it, the more of these people that you bring back, the more like you cheapen like Anakin's fall. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like Mace Windu is one of like the there was Yoda, there was Mace. All right. And like Anakin partook in his like betrayal and killing. So him suddenly being like alive kind of cheapens.
But I'm saying do a prequel.
Oh yeah, they're doing a thing now. Next week it airs. It's called Tales of the Jedi, and it's just like there's an animated thing where they're just doing like these like 3-episode arcs where they just tell a story. So the one that they're doing this first season is Qui-Gon and Dooku, and another one I think is Ahsoka Tano. So I think Mace as a character is in it, but you never know. In this show, they just might start exploring that.
You got anything else about Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace?
I think we've touched all the main points of the movie. Oh, actually, no. I do like that they used fucking grappling hooks at one point to escape the droids, like it's Batman 66 again.
Yeah, that was very. I thought in that moment, I was like, "This looks like Power Rangers."
They did because they all coordinated. They were like on a row.
Yeah.
Like, it was fucking
I thought that a lot of this played like a Saturday morning cartoon.
A little bit. It did have a very like. Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, like all the scene transitions and all that.
Yeah.
Like, and then like the acting, like nobody's, because I mean, this is like the beginning of like everything CG. So like a lot of these people are just like standing on green boxes and shit.
Yeah, it was
so, like how do you act like that? It was a lawless
time. It was a lawless time.
Like, back then, it was new. Like now, people are used to it. Like, oh, I'm a big 9-foot tall green man. I know how to act like that. Like, but back then it was like, what?
I forgot what it was called. I forgot what it's called. But The Mandalorian and like all these shows, except for this new one, Andor, like they're all filmed in like I forgot what it's called. But it's just basically it's like it's just like this room. Like if you remember the X-Men, like the Danger Room, it could just be anything. It's basically that. They just like act in like this danger room where like it's an entire 360 immersed thing where
like
they can
the
just
background
make it,
follows the
and they could just make it whatever it's got to be.
I forget what they call it.
It's got a name. It's got some dumb name called the something. Like I forgot what it's called, but like this new one, Andor, is back to being like on location, and it's like great.
Sorry guys, I accidentally spun the wheel of names.
I'm like, what are you making, a
Nice.
milkshake? What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I spun the wheel of names is how we decide who asks the first question and who does the trivia questions.
Gotcha.
And I accidentally hit the spin
Gotcha.
while you were talking. So my fucking bad.
Well, I guess this is the time to get into questions.
Actually, I didn't catch what James said because of the fucking wheel of names, and I feel like a fucking bad host and a bad asshole.
We're talking about what do they call that thing that they're filming a lot of Marvel and Star Wars stuff on, where it's like a room with a big screen, and the screen is like the background, so they don't have to shoot on location. It's called the
Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I forgot what it was called, but yeah. So it was also part, like I said, part of that, where it's like these original movies were on location in like Northern Africa and like Ireland and like New Zealand and all these fucking wacky, insane fucking places, and like
Yeah.
he used models and little trains, and everything was just so like, tactile, and it was real, at least, where a lot of this stuff just you kind of lose, kind of gets lost in the
Basically a cartoon.
For something live action, it gets very cartoony.
Yeah. All right, so you guys want to jump into some questions?
Sure.
All right, so this is how we do it when we have a guest. I spin the wheel of names.
The volume, I think it's called.
Yes, the volume.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it begins with a V, but I don't know what it's called. Yes, the volume. Yes.
I don't think they've perfected it yet, but I feel like at some point we're gonna be like, oh, that's indistinguishable.
Right.
But it's not there yet.
No.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go on to questions.
That's
I apologize, Robbie.
No. So I've got Andy. I know you love the wheel of names.
Yep.
So I'm gonna hit the wheel of names, and whoever it lands on is gonna go first. After spin, we're gonna have no sound because that was really quite annoying. Unless we want applause every time. So spin it up, clickety clickety clack.
Yeah.
And the first question is gonna be asked by. It always wants the guest to go first. James, ask your first question.
Qui-Gon, why didn't you free Anakin's mother? Maul, why didn't you just flick Kenobi off the fucking ledge? Like, he was just hanging on. Like, why were you taunting him with your blade? You're a fucking assassin. Just things. Like, just what are you teasing him for? Like, why risk any of this? Also, Padme, he's 9 years old. Why do you have the hots for him? That's a little weird.
Yeah.
He was 9. He was 9.
Yeah, and he looks like a 9-year-old.
Yeah, he looked young too. But that's not really a plot. That's not really a plot hole.
But no, that's still good. It doesn't have to be a plot hole. That's still a good question.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
That's an excellent question. So Anakin's mom, was that like a consensual conception? Or like, because like she's asked about the father and she's like, I can't answer that.
Well, so in episode 3, Palpatine talks about his master Darth Plagueis, who says he was so powerful he could use the Force to manipulate the midichlorians to create life. So he just says that. So there's a speculation that because Tatooine, because she was close, like that. There's a whole theory / like subplot that doesn't exist anymore. That Palpatine was like, all right, I want to work on this life-making thing, and Tatooine's right here. I'm going to find the slave woman no one's going to get. Like, he basically like did that kind of, like he just was like fucking around like with his own weird magic. Like,
so he's like, Jesus.
Yeah, kind of. But also, some might have said that it was like the Force like answering back to like a lot of the darkness that was going on. Like the Force was just saying like, all right, we need a savior. We need a chosen one. I'm just going to put it in this lady. So there are 2 interesting theories involving that. But yeah, the Force did. I mean, I don't think she asked. I don't think she was asked regardless. Like, I don't think.
Yeah.
So as far as the original consensual part, probably not. No.
Yeah, that's
See,
why.
like,
That's why I worded it as consensual conception. That
Yeah,
seemed like the most
yeah.
polite way to word it.
Yeah. Regardless, no.
But see, like that plot alone is very interesting to me. Like, all right, there's a chosen one, right? But it becomes corrupted and it is used for evil. Like that is so cool, but I feel like it's very muddied in this franchise. Like they don't like it could have been told a lot better, you know?
Yeah, they don't. Again, like something like Clone Wars, they go so much more into like the whole thing with the Chosen One and Anakin's role and all of his conflict and everything. They kind of muddle over that, and then they justify the whole thing by like, oh, he was supposed to bring balance, but you know what? He did kill Palpatine and then died himself redeemed, so he did destroy the dark side, and they justify that.
Right.
But then when like these new movies come out and like Palpatine's back, and now there's this whole new struggle. It's like, did that just nullify the entire Chosen One thing? Like, what did you do there? Like, but yeah, that is a big part of it that was never explored too much in the movie, and unfortunately, it's supplemental media, so you gotta watch to really get more of it.
All right. Well, you spinning that piece of shit wheel?
Yeah, I'll spin the wheel. James, you have any more questions?
No, I think I kind of covered them indirectly without realizing it. Yeah.
Oh, all right, cool. So I'm going to spin the wheel. We're going to ask a couple more questions. Andy accidentally deleted the DY off your name on the wheel, so you're now Ann.
That's all right. A lot of Anns in my family.
Questions. Whatever becomes of Anakin's friend Kitska, or whatever the fuck his name is?
That little alien kid?
Any of them.
They're probably just slaves for life.
Probably. Sucks to be them. All right, Andy, ask your questions.
Okay, so
slaves for life.
So Yoda
questions.
So Yoda is concerned about the fear in Anakin as it can lead him to the dark side, right? So why not get a team of Jedi and free his mom? And get rid of that fear. Problem solved. It kind of plays into James's question. But,
yeah, I don't because they're too political. That's another part. They're like, oh, if we get involved with the Hutts and the outside or whatever, like it's
fucking kill him. Just fucking kill him. He got superpowers.
It's against the Jedi way. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, right. Here's another question. Is there a war going on already? I'm confused as to what the conflict is. Is it just trade embargoes and shit like that?
There's no actual war going on until the end of episode 2, but Palpatine's kind of slowly building up towards it.
Okay.
So he, as the leader of both the Republic and the Separatists, he's playing both sides, but has to slowly, he knows he can't just seize power. He knows he has to have the backing of the people, and he has to have the Senate, and he has to keep all that intact, and he's got to make himself look like he's doing everything he can. And next thing you know, it's like, all right, guys, this is getting really bad now. I'm going to need those emergency fucking dictator powers, but I promise, as soon as the war's over, we're done here. And they give him the dictator powers, and then that was like his major step. Like he could have just sweep in and take over. It just wouldn't have worked. So they would have gotten rebelled right away. But he had to make it a slow burn.
Okay. Questions. Okay. What the fuck is a viceroy? What is the viceroy?
That's an actual like political position.
Yeah, it's like a title. I think it's like maybe not a prime minister, but like a representative or a senator or something like that. It's like a political title.
Who was it? It was that
alien
Japanese
boy.
Yeah,
Stereotypes.
One of the Japanese guys. Yeah,
okay.
Newt Gunray. He was the leader of the
Newt Gingrich.
It's got to be based on him, right?
Yeah, no, because like all the separatists, like the separatist alliance that just wanted to go against the Republic, were all like the trade people, the banking clan. It was all like big pharma. Like it was all like those kind of those guys that got together, and then that's how he was able to fund this tremendous empire. Because he had he had the bankers in his pocket. He's like Alex Jones. He had the bankers in his pocket.
Yeah. You turn the frogs gay.
I have the documentation. Palpatine is a Sith Lord.
The Viceroy is a real thing then.
Yes, the
The
Viceroy.
title
real
of Viceroy is a real title. I don't know
Okay.
exactly what it is, but it's a real title.
The one in
Right.
this movie was not a real thing.
Right.
Okay,
So
that
I'm just a dumb guy. All right. So, last question. What do the Jedi do?
They're the guardians of peace and justice throughout the galaxy.
So nothing.
If they're doing their job, they ain't doing shit. You know
So
what I'm saying?
they sit in a room and they discuss things.
They're a bunch of hippies. They're just a bunch
yeah.
of hippies with laser swords, man. All right.
And one guy's got a real long neck, and he's just
One
they're
guy's
all
got
just
a
staring
beard.
at
One
it.
guy's an octopus. Like it's all right.
Yeah.
You got a bald black guy. You got a bunch of.
Yeah.
They just hang out and smoke pot all day. They're just like.
it's the original National Lampoon's writing room.
All right, that's all my questions.
All right, you guys want to do some trivia?
Now there's a question.
Nice.
Yeah,
Mm.
I do.
James just give a take on it. He's like, trivia, whatever. So basically,
We'll see what happens.
how this works is we each have some questions we're going to ask each other. We wrote multiple choice. If you didn't, that's totally fine. So basically, we'll just ask each other questions. I'll read the wheel. I'll hit the wheel of names to start, and we'll just go in that order.
All right.
So the first question is going to be asked by me because I sped it up to 3 seconds.
Incredible.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question. You say your name to hit the buzzer, and then call on you. What gas is going to kill Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn at the beginning of the movie? Nitrogen, dioxys, helium, or oxide?
James, 2.
Go for it.
2.
Yep, it's dioxys. So James, ask the next question.
He's so disappointed.
I know, because it's like I don't want to be like James. I know this, but I'm going to give it the answer. I don't need the answers. I feel like an asshole. Like I'm like a dork. All right, well, I guess I didn't know it was multiple choice.
You don't have to do multiple choice.
Okay, so what? I guess this is easy. What 2 characters have appeared in every single Star Wars movie except for Solo?
Oh, Rob. C-3PO and R2-D2.
Very good.
I forgot about them.
Andy, go ahead. Ask your first question.
Okay. What famous rapper lobbied for a role in this movie? Is it A, Snoop Dogg, B, Tupac, C, Biggie, or D, Ja Rule?
Shit, 2 of them were dead by then, so
Don't let that sway, because this movie took a long time to make. That's a little hint. That's a little hint for you. They call me the hint daddy.
Rob.
Yes.
Tupac.
Correct.
He's the only one I knew.
I was gonna guess that was gonna be my guess. Like, wow, that's a great question.
I knew he acted, and I was like, okay, that's the only one. The other guys I don't know if I've ever seen act.
He
Right, okay, yeah.
got in touch with George Lucas when he heard that he was working on Star Wars movie. He was like, I want to be in that movie. And he probably would have been, but he was, I don't know if you guys knew this. He was killed. Not a lot of people know that.
And what was he doing before he was killed? You know what? Let's not get into it. Let's not talk about it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
What species or what type of alien is Sebulba? Is he a Doug, a Skeeter, a Roger, or a Judy?
James, Doug.
Yeah. I'm gonna assume that disappointment was my Doug funny bit there.
No. I like that a lot, but I wanted to go James again. I wanted to go Doug. Like,
that's fine.
I'm working on. I have a question, but I'm actually working on the multiple choice answers. Actually.
All right. So if you want, we'll let Andy go next.
Yeah.
All right. What famous pop star was almost cast as Jar Jar? Is it A, Bobby Brown, B?
That would have been amazing.
that should have.
All right. Is it A, Bobby Brown, B, Prince?
Hey, why does Amidala have a black eye?
Jesus. C, Michael Jackson, or D, Eddie Murphy?
Ooh.
My girl liked to party all the time.
See, this is one I know, and I didn't want to just go blump. But Rob,
Yes,
is it Michael Jackson?
it is Michael Jackson.
I would have guessed Eddie Murphy only because also the acting thing. Like something he does,
Right.
same thing. Like I know a bunch of them delved in acting, but
Yeah.
Didn't
You know what?
Michael Jackson wanted to be a live action Jar Jar?
Yes. He also got pretty far in the talks with George Lucas, which is pretty wacky.
Hey, I'd really like to work with that boy who plays Anakin.
Yeah.
I'm $1. It's your birthday. Anakin's midichlorian count is over what? 50,000, 40,000, 30,000, or 20,000?
That makes me think of Dragon Ball Z. It's over 9,000.
Yeah, well, it's definitely over 9,000.
Well, it's got to be. Andy,
Go for it.
C.
You're wrong.
Oh.
So is it 50,000, 40,000, or 20,000?
I guess I'll try James 20,000.
It is, yeah. They say
That was a
Anakin's
guess.
midichlorian count is over 20,000.
All
That
right.
ain't shit.
What actor was originally cast to play, or not? Okay, what actor did George Lucas want to be the play Anakin Skywalker in episodes 2 and 3? Is it Leonardo DiCaprio, Christian Bale, Tom Cruise, or Billy Zane?
Rob. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Nope.
Andy. Christian Bale.
It was Christian Bale.
Holy shit.
It was Christian Bale.
I mean, I wonder.
Honestly, he
you
would have
wonder.
crushed it. He probably would have crushed it.
Yeah, probably. People
You
would have
never
liked
know, yeah.
Anakin a lot more.
He would have a way gruffer Anakin. Like what?
Yeah. Are you fucking serious,
Yeah.
mate?
You underestimate my power.
Or do it
Only
like
funny if he just
Batman.
played Anakin as like the Batman voice.
Yeah.
Just like, you
So-
underestimate my
so-
power.
Yeah.
Did he
I hate you.
Did he take Much Ado About Nothing instead of the Phantom Menace?
I don't know. I don't know the details of that, but it was one of those like things you didn't know about the movie thing I heard one time, and it was one of those things. And somebody like CGI like a picture of Christian Bale in like 1998 over like one of Anakin's like poses. You know, like it just looked ridiculous, but I was like, all right, that looks pretty funny.
All right, is it my turn?
Yeah.
All right. The movie was shipped to theaters under what code name? Is it A, Interstellar Conflicts, B, The Balcony, C, Secrets in Marriage, or D, The Dollhouse?
Ooh, I'm gonna go James C.
Incorrect. It is not Secrets in Marriage.
Rob.
Yes.
The Dollhouse.
Correct.
All right, I have one more trivia question.
Same.
This one's pretty easy.
Okay.
What does Anakin Skywalker in this movie and Bill Clinton have in common? They both play saxophone. They were both president of the United States. They both have law degrees. Or they're both attracted to 14-year-old girls.
Andy.
Andy.
I'm going to go D.
Yeah, you are correct. You are correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is D. It's D.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep. Okay. The title.
Oh,
The
my
Phantom
lawyer's
Menace.
calling me.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to have to edit that out.
You're going to die in prison. It's going to look like a suicide. The title, The Phantom Menace, was taken from the name of a villain from which show? Is it A, Flash Gordon, B, G.I. Joe, C, Thundercats, or D, Transformers?
James, I'm gonna say Flash Gordon because that was one of George Lucas's big influences.
You are 1,000% correct.
Cool.
Jeez. I had no idea.
I didn't know either. All of this was taken from IMDb because I don't know shit.
So now we're going to get into our songs.
Nice.
So basically this is how it works. I'm going to flip a pick And James, I'm gonna let you call it. All right. So, Andy, would you like heads or tails?
I'll do tails.
All right. So, James, wait. Why did I do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hold on. I'm confused. I was trying to do fun things and include everyone, and then I goofed it up. Anyway.
I'll do tails. James will do heads. How's that? Does that work?
Yeah. I sing a song. Like,
yeah, sing.
Yeah, James. I don't think. James, all right. So, actually, James, you know what?
How about I just do your songs, bro?
Okay. Yeah.
Don't mind me.
I'm just gonna flip it.
I'm here chilling.
Cool. You're just gonna be the first judge. All right, Andy. I'm gonna flip it. What'd you call?
Tails, I guess.
All right. It's heads.
Okay.
How long is your song?
My song is a cool 2.5 minutes.
I'm gonna go with your song first.
Thank you, because you know what? To preface, all right. So last time, I said I talked shit about my song. Was Scream. So for our Scream podcast, if you remember, I was like, "Yeah, this song, I'm not thrilled with it." And then we played it, and I was like, I kind of like
that.
It,
was
actually.
Not the last episode we recorded.
No, I'm saying that's the last episode that I talked shit about my song.
Oh, okay.
So this time, I actually don't like my song. Like, for real. I've listened to it multiple times, and I'm like, I don't really like this. And I think the problem is that this movie, after I watched it, I was like, I got nothing. I got no creativity. So it's an old riff that I've had laying around. It's just it's lazy. But I like the lyrics. I like what I'm saying. So here's my song. What a stellar endorsement, huh?
All right. Why don't you tell the world what it's called, man?
It's called shit. Oh, what do you see? So it's about it's pretty much Obi-Wan asking Qui-Gon, what do you see in this kid? What's going on? You're doing a lot, man.
I gotta tell you, I think you're wrong.
Your fade outs are getting really good.
Wow, thanks.
I liked it.
Wow, thanks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You know what? We kind of pushed this one back a little bit because we had a lot of stuff going on, and like I watched the movie and then got carried away with other things, and then I was like, all right, let me write this song, and I wrote it like yesterday and recorded it yesterday.
Nice.
And like I did it all in like one sitting, and that's usually where I get like a mediocre song. So that's how I feel about this song. But I do like that I said he's got the bleep blorps and the bloop blorps too. I liked that. And I liked that I made Obi-Wan kind of angry at Qui-Gon, where he's like now I gotta fucking babysit this guy.
Really? So, yeah.
And
really,
like,
guy?
Everybody's
I just
saying
got knighted. Like,
Yeah.
I just...
and everybody's saying like, oh, he's got a lot of problems on the inside. He's like, okay, so like now I'm taking care of a potential psychopath.
Right.
Like now that's a lot of pressure on me, Qui-Gon, you fucking dick. So I don't know. That's what I got out of it. Again, I don't think very highly of this movie, but I mean, it's this franchise. It must get good at some point because I can't be the only stupid guy in the world who's like, Star Wars ain't good.
Yeah.
It's got to get good at some point.
Watch Empire Strikes Back. Let me know how it works out. Get back to me after that one.
For sure. We'll cover it for sure.
Yeah, I also don't think that song was nearly as bad as you made it sound.
Well, I appreciate that.
So my song is after we did the Shrek movies and you did your Shrek opera, I was really...
It's a Shrakra, Rob.
The Shrakra. I'm sorry, your Shrakra. I was really inspired, so I figured I was going to do it for Star Wars. And I was going to take a lot of influence from Tommy. So that's why my first lyrics are Captain Skywalker didn't come home, his unborn child, you know?
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a joke that one person will laugh at.
It's
They'll be
me.
like, yeah, exactly. So here's my combination overture and opening song to my Star Wars rock opera. Oh boy. It's called The Outer Rim. prophecy foretold. So that was my song called "The Outer Rim."
That was quite the journey. Really.
That was good. I like you had horns, you had strings, you had a flute.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
yeah. Here's the thing: because we had so much extra time to do this episode,
You went all in.
yeah.
What are you gonna do for the next one?
Very complicated. I liked it.
It's gonna open up probably just an acoustic guitar track. But I don't know. I don't really have much to say about it because it's just really about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn finding the boy and being like, "Yeah, we'll train him. Yeah, I don't care that you're telling me no. I'm gonna train him."
Yeah.
I like how you both had like a central theme to it. It was both about like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and the boy. It was just like, it was all surrounding his training. It's all about like, really good. So
No.
I liked it.
Thank you.
I didn't know that you played flute and assorted horns and all those things.
Well, I'm gonna explain to you what a synthesizer is.
Go on.
So he's a one-man ska band.
Yeah. Ooh, actually, you know what? The next song, now you think about it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, no, I really just put that MIDI to work.
Nice.
And just, lots of flutes, lots of horns, strings, and that little ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling sound.
Glockenspiel, I believe.
Maybe. I have no
I don't know. I have no idea what I'm saying. Well, yeah, I liked it.
Thank
it.
you.
It was rock and roll. You know?
I don't think it was rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Sounded more like a Disney musical. All right, James, I'm putting you on the spot. You have the first vote. Which song's better?
Holy shit.
Oh.
You like how I do that?
Yeah, because I was like, they both have their own merits. I don't know. It's like, okay, I guess based on musically and just what I like, just take the subject matter out of it, I'm going in.
I'm furious. No, that totally works.
based on just
furious.
as a song, as music, like what I would listen to and what I like. Just yeah.
I don't blame you.
We're gonna-
I'd probably choose
if we're gonna
Andy's
go-
also.
I appreciate it.
If we're gonna go content, there's
Right. I will say that last episode, Knives Out was last episode.
Yeah.
Right? We talked some shit about Led Zeppelin.
We did. We talked a lot of shit about
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin.
And then like that riff in my song is just a fucking Led Zeppelin riff.
Yeah, I was
it's
thinking
very
the
Led
crunge.
Zeppelin. Yeah, it was kind of like, it's like Presence era Zeppelin.
Yeah. Like, so bad Zeppelin.
So like Zeppelin when they lost their edge, Yeah. But
scoot.
Yeah, I mean,
but they're gonna sue
good,
me
though.
just for doing that much of one of their songs.
Probably.
Oh,
And rightfully so, Rob. You're a thief.
You now owe them royalties. So you now
and George Lucas.
You owe the Bonham estate. Fucking.
Yeah. So yeah, I look forward to continuing my journey in Star Wars. And I really do hope that I come around because I don't want to be the one guy on Earth who's like, actually, I don't like that.
Well, when the time comes, I would advise just rewatch 4, but then watch 5 and 6 right afterwards.
Okay.
And then watch 1, 2, and 3, and then if you want to get into like the shows, then do the shows. But do those movies in that order to really kind of take it in. And that's my opinion. And watch Rogue One. You can watch Rogue One after you watch 4, 5, and 6 because that's a great movie. That's one of those movies that I tell people. That's one of those movies that if you don't know anything about Star Wars, you'd like it because there's Star Wars elements to it, but you don't need to know any of it. Right. Vader appears, but you don't need to. He could be anybody. It doesn't have to be that character. Doesn't need to be Vader for the purpose of the story being told. Because It's like a heist movie, it's an action movie, it's like Cloak and Dagger, it's a lot of different things in one. So I would definitely give Rogue One a shot as well.
I have to totally agree with James there. Rogue One is excellent.
I feel like we'll be covering like all of that for this.
Yeah.
For this thing that we do.
Making our way through Star Wars, talking droids and other aliens and stuff. James, we've reached the end. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing the research and watching episode 1 for like the 300th time. But this was great. And any excuse to talk about this without coming off as just like an insane person at a bar. I love it. So thank you. This is great.
No, we appreciate it. You were a great guest. You came in with knowledge, which we desperately needed because we would have sounded like a really bunch of dumb guys.
Yeah, and especially with Star Wars, like people get real ornery. Is that the word?
Yeah, you saved a lot of mean tweets.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Let me know if I can be a further assistance with other Star Wars shows.
James, where can they find you on social media?
My name, James Raniolo, on Facebook mostly I use. I also have a Jimmy the Geek 017 on Instagram that it's not particularly active, but I'm trying to do it anytime soon. But for the most part, I'm on Facebook. My name, James Anthony Raniolo. And that's pretty much it for now.
All right, awesome. And could you tell us any shows you got lined up?
Right now, I really don't have much going on, but like I have my own, I produce my own shows, once a month at Alibi Lounge in Farmingdale under Wasted Talent Production. That's the name of the production, banner that I put it under. And I'm trying to get more stuff in the future, starting in the beginning of the year. So, follow me on Instagram. Eventually, I'm probably going to turn it over from me to the comedy end of it. And then, you'll see more of the stuff that I put together.
Now, can they find Wasted Talent anywhere?
No, right now, no. But if you go to Jimmy the Geek 017 at the time you're reading this, it'll still be that, or it'll turn into Wasted Talent eventually. Did I say reading this? Watching this?
I read podcasts sometimes.
Yeah, so I have the subtitles on. This is great.
You download the transcript.
Yeah.
Oh my god, how boring!
That's really good for this podcast when the songs come on.
Yeah.
A flute solo.
Oh, that's funny.
Andy, where can they find the Royds on social media?
You go to the Instagram. You go to that's THE _Royds ROYDS, and we got content there for you. And then you can go to the Twitter, and you can why don't you do the social media stuff because I forget.
Okay, yeah, I'll do the social media stuff. So you can find us on Instagram, _Royds, and if you follow us there, you'll just find our promotion for this podcast. You can find us on Twitter at TheRoydsBand and on TikTok at TheRoyds. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Robert Corridor. And Andy, where can they find the rest of our music that's not... Oh, you could find our podcast songs at theroyds.bandcamp.com.
Yes. And you could find the songs that we wrote, before the podcast. We have 2 albums and a Christmas song. That is all on Spotify. You search The Royds, Royds. You could get that on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you get your music. And I guarantee that you will come. You will come.
That's quite the guarantee.
Hold on, what's that?
Yeah. I'm telling you. You're gonna shoot ropes.
Oh no! Don't listen at work. NSFW.
Yeah, not at work or at school if you're a student.
Or on public transportation.
Don't. Yeah. You know what? Just wait till you get home. Or you could do what I do and you put a clothespin on your genitals.
What if you're a female?
Stop it. It works.
What, putting a clothespin? What are you putting a clothespin on if you're...
The vaginal lips, Rob.
Jesus Christ.
Look, you asked. I just answered.
No, the answer is you wouldn't need it because the female orgasm's a myth.
There it is. There it is. Well, we almost had a full podcast without talking about cum and dicks. And then, the kicker is that I did it.
Yeah, it wasn't me this time.
Yeah. That's the kicker. Isn't that weird? Maybe it's that's me subconsciously. I'm craving that content.
You're craving cocks and dick?
I'm craving dick and balls and cum and ropes.
Ropes and clothespins and shit.
Yeah. I gotta talk to someone.
When I give people crabs, I just call it rope burn.
Hey.
When I give people crabs.
It's something that just happens a lot.
When I give people crabs. That's great. That's a great sentence starter.
It's a full sentence.
When I give people crabs, ... Where's this guy going?
This is better than the 20 minutes we did insulting Led Zeppelin last week, so.
Yeah, that's just...
If I remember correctly, we started this podcast. You were talking about you had some crab ragoons, so we started with crabs.
That's
we ended
true.
with crabs.
Oh, shit.
This is just we've bookended this real nice with crabs.
Yeah,
love it.
Like true Long Islanders, it's all about crabs.
Yeah.
All right, we're doing episode 2 next week. Do we have to promote it? Oh, give us a 5-star review.
I definitely will.
Oh, that wasn't talking to you, James. I was talking to the listener.
No. I will. We're going on. I know that. I know who you're talking to, and I'm letting you know you got to from me.
Okay, thank you.
What's it's called Attack of the Clones, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're doing
Clone
that next
Wars.
week.
Clone Wars is that's the cartoon one.
That's the show, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna watch that right now. That's not true. I'm going to bed.
It's late. I'm gonna eat dinner. I told you guys lasagna soup. I'm eating.
Yeah, enjoy your lasagna soup.
That's strange. That sounds like it's just gonna be like a bowl of tomato sauce and
lasagna noodles and
lasagna noodles. Yeah, just floating around in it.
Yeah. All right, well, bye everybody.
All right, bye.
Doses.